up your engine. Okay, today I'm going to show how this 99 Jeep Wrangler Sport has held up over the years. Now we can see that the thing has held up great cosmetically. Look at it. It's in excellent shape. As we look under, we can see frames in immaculate shape. Look at this thing. You would never think that this thing came from Ohio. If it wasn't for the Buckeye front plate, I would have never guessed. Now as we go inside, we can see that it's got reasonable amount of mileage on it. As we turn the key on, there we go. 138,665 miles. We'll start her up, take a listen. Starts right up, those 6-cylinder engines can run forever. And we see it has a 3-speed automatic and 4-wheel drive. Now those not in the know might say, oh, I don't want a 3-speed automatic, I want to go off-road. I know guys that have taken the 5 speeds out and put 3-speed automatics in for rock crawling. 3-speed automatic transmission. Kind of higher at high-speed highway driving. This isn't a highway vehicle. Look at it. It's for cruising around, rock crawling. It's not for driving cross-country in. That's not what it's made for. If that's what you're looking for, you shouldn't buy this thing in the first place. We'll check under the hood, check out the engine. Now this is not a racing engine. It is a straight 6-cylinder 4-liter engine and 225 foot-pounds of torque. So it's got enough torque for pulling itself around. Now taking in consideration the original Willys Jeep only had 60 horsepower. I got customers with them, they restore them. They're fascinating vehicles. This thing is perfectly fine for driving around. You can have a lot of fun. You can take it places you want to take it. As we go underneath, there's the front differential right there. A big old lump. You're not gonna get stuck. And it's old school. Check it out. It's got U-joints. It's not a CV joint, it's U-joints. Solid metal. And as you can see here, got a nice upgraded steering damper. And really, for an old vehicle, this thing, solid and clean. They were well made back in the day. Now as we check inside the door, this one was actually made when Mercedes-Benz owned Chrysler, because it says manufactured by Daimler Chrysler, 199. Now Daimler took over Chrysler in November 1998, so this is 1 of 99. It was still all Jeep stuff back then. They hadn't changed anything yet. So with this 99, you're getting a real Jeep. Yes, the 3-speed transmission isn't a performance transmission by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a very solid, medium-duty automatic transmission. Now this thing isn't a heavy-duty tower. It's rated at like 2,000 pounds. It's not made to tow heavy things around. You can tow lightweight little things around. I've seen guys on flat ground over short distances tow 2,500 pounds. It would go okay. But the real rating's about 2,000 pounds. It's not a vehicle for towing things. Now, if you don't know, people might say, oh, look, it's for towing things. This, and the one over here, it's for pulling this out if it's stuck somewhere. Tow hooks for pulling it out. Now, most guys, they're going to go serious off-road. They're going to put a winch on this thing. But this is a grandpa's car. He just likes the way it looks and rides. He's not taking it off-road. Maybe one of the reasons it's so clean underneath. No bashes, dents. You want to buy a car like this, buy it from a grandpa. Well, maybe not this grandpa. I'm not a typical grandpa. But a typical grandpa is just cruising along. And people are beeping because he's going too slow. Working on these things, simplicity itself. There's all kinds of aftermarkets, relatively simple system, anyone can work on. See, recently the alternator's been replaced. You go to any discount auto parts store, they'll have it in stock. You want to rough it, you can take all the top off, or if you don't, you can close the door. Even though it only works on 1 speed, it needs a blower motor resistor, because it only works on 2. Doesn't work on 3 or 4, so it needs a blower motor resistor. Realize that yes, it is a Chrysler product, so you'll be fixing electronic stuff on it, but the basic vehicle is pretty solid. And even though it's only a 2-door, look at the room in the back. It's got nice leg room. There's space in this thing. So let's close the hood and take it for a spin. As you see, it starts right up. We'll back it out. First thing I notice, you're nice and high. Love those big side mirrors. They got a great view. And this hasn't been souped up. It's pretty quiet. For a bigger vehicle like this high up in here, it actually rides quite smooth. This thing's been taken care of. It's not a race car or truck. Let's just floor it and see what happens. It goes, and it still shifts pretty smooth. It's fun to drive. Not a race vehicle, something fun to drive around in. You want to cruise around the countryside or in the countryside, you can get off-road with this thing and have some fun. I'm actually impressed by how this thing rides at highway speeds. I expected it to be much bumpier with the tires and suspension, but this thing is still in good shape and it rides quite well. I would have no problems driving this thing on a highway like you would in something like a Suzuki Samurai that would bounce you all over the place. It's not a bad ride for as small as the wheelbase it has. And it most certainly is an excellent country vehicle, which is where I am right now. I don't hear any worn bearings or bushings. This thing has been taken care of. For something that's 22 years old, I'm rather shocked to tell you the truth. And look, I like it old school. It's got a hand crank window. One less thing to break. And here we are back. A nice, quiet, non-shaking idle. That's the advantage of these straight six engines. These 4-liter straight sixes can run and purr along. They were actually designed in a very short period of time by American Motors. Chrysler bought American Motors just to get the Jeeps. These engines had a long run. No, they don't put up no horsepower, blah, blah, blah. They will run forever. If you're happy with the way that it runs, find a good one, buy it. It will run forever with minimal care. And back in '99, they were well made. Old as it is, here's the glass. Doesn't even rattle and shake. It's still in there nice and solid. Now, if you're looking for an off-road capable vehicle like this could be the perfect vehicle for you. Now, if you're looking for something to race around with, stay away from this thing. One, it's not fast enough. Two, it's high up in the air. It'll flip over, you kill yourself. This is made for exactly what the Jeeps were originally made for. Nice off-road vehicle, get you around where you're going, no top end. It's not a racing vehicle. It's not a gas economy vehicle. And the proof to how well it's made, right here. This baby came from Ohio, and it's still not rusted and in excellent shape. They were solid made. You want a solid made vehicle. My advice, get this. Don't buy a new one with an Italian engine, who knows what else in it. This one, made solid in the United States. That straight 6-cylinder engine can last forever. You can't beat it if you want a Jeep type vehicle. And yes, if you want to go military commando, the windshield does fold down if you're going into combat. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Pete Posati says, I have a rattling noise on my car on a cold start, but it immediately goes away. That's generally something to do with the timing chain or your variable valve timing assemblies. There are many cars that do that as they age, and if you don't want to spend a fortune, you can continue to drive them. I see many Toyotas that are 5, 10 years old with variable valve timing. When they first start them up, they make a rattle that goes away. Some of these have 200,000-300,000 miles on them, but they still run okay. Now, to fix it, you got to change the timing chain. Sometimes you have to mess with the variable valve timing sprocket. Very expensive. But if it immediately goes away, a lot of times you can live with it for quite some time. Realize you're going to spend thousands of dollars rebuilding the engine, repairing stuff. And it's kind of like robbing Peter to pay Paul when it comes to repairing engines. So you spend a bunch of money fixing that. But if you got 200,000-300,000 miles, your pistons are worn, the bearings are worn, valves are worn, everything's worn. Why would you put that much money into fixing one thing? My advice is you just keep driving them. And then if it finally does go out and the engine blows, you decide, do I want to put another engine in it, a used engine or a rebuild engine, or get another car? That's when you use your head. And realize that, say you got 400,000 miles. Maybe just get rid of the car. Maybe buy another one. If it's a Toyota Corolla that's got 150,000 and you got a lot more miles left on it. Because a lot of times you can buy one with 150,000 miles for less money it's going to cost you to put an engine in. Realize that. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.